Our working group is looking at the law, the policy, the regulatory side. So what governments can do in updating their legal framework, in how they regulate important pieces of the private sector that are running critical national infrastructure that might be vulnerable to cyber attacks. Whilst the internet is largely run by private sector companies, there are still some things in terms of improving security that it's really only efficient or possible for governments to do. So we'll be looking for examples of best practice all around the world and how governments have gone about that. I think cybersecurity principally has to be an issue for businesses. They run so much of the hardware that makes up the internet. They write the software, they're running the servers. And so that's one key thing for governments, is actually persuading businesses within their borders. This is something that you have to focus on, especially where it might be that the costs of security failures don't fall on the businesses themselves. Of course, if it's the case that if a business's security measures fail and then perhaps highly sensitive commercial information is stolen by their rivals that then causes damage to their business, that means the business has a very direct incentive itself. You don't need the government to tell the business to do anything to protect the information security. But if it's the case that some of the cost might fall on the business, but actually much of it would fall on citizens, would fall on wider society, then that's a very straightforward classic case of market failure that economists in all sorts of markets would say, well, this is something where governments have to look to see, do we have to take measures to cause those businesses to take account of those potential harms to other people, those external costs, to encourage them to take action to prevent those costs falling on others. One real challenge in drafting cybersecurity legislation or regulations, which can be a little bit faster moving for government and regulatory bodies, is just keeping up to date with the pace of change in technology in general, but also in terms of the threat. Because of course you do see quite sophisticated adversaries now looking for ways to steal money and commit all sorts of other cybercrimes. Of course, the internet can make all sorts of activities much more scalable, so it's easy to go from 1 to 1 million to 100 million in a day. That's great for businesses developing new legitimate products, but of course the same goes for cyber criminals, and so trying to keep up with that is a challenge for governments. But we hope through the work we're doing in the centre, first of all, we can help them with keeping up to date in that way and understanding what the threats are and what they can do about it, but also helping governments think through measures that they can take that are technology neutral, that aren't so dependent on how technology looks today. You find principles that will apply with today's technology, but also with tomorrow and next year's technology.